Most drivers trust their mechanic completely when it comes to synthetic oil, but that trust is costing some of them thousands of pounds every year. The synthetic oil industry is built on confusion, and that confusion is not always accidental. Today, I'm exposing 8 facts and myths about synthetic oil that the industry would rather you never found out. Number 8. Myth: fully synthetic. On the label always means true synthetic. This is one of the most misunderstood things about engine oil, and it catches British drivers out more than most people realise. When you pick up a bottle that says fully synthetic, you naturally assume the oil inside was engineered from scratch in a laboratory. The truth is more complicated than that. In Europe, the term fully synthetic is not strictly regulated, which means manufacturers can label oils as fully synthetic even when they are built from highly refined crude oil, rather than true synthetic base stocks. These are called Group 3 oils, and while they perform better than basic mineral oil, they are fundamentally different from true PAO-based Group 4 synthetics that are genuinely engineered at a molecular level. The practical difference matters more than most people think. A true PAO-based synthetic offers superior thermal stability, lower volatility, and better performance at extreme temperatures. A highly refined Group 3 oil, despite wearing the fully synthetic badge, may not hold up as well under sustained heat or over long drain intervals. The only reliable way to know what you are actually buying is to look beyond the label. Check for ACEA certification, OEM approvals, and if possible, research the base stock the manufacturer uses. The label tells you the marketing story, the certifications tell you the truth. Number 7. Fact: most engine wear happens in the first 10 seconds after startup. Most drivers think engine wear is something that builds up gradually over thousands of miles of driving. The reality is far more concentrated than that, and understanding it changes how you think about oil entirely. Studies consistently show that the vast majority of engine wear, some estimates put it as high as 75%, occurs during the first few seconds after a cold start. That is the window before oil has fully circulated from the sump to the top of the engine, leaving bearings, camshafts, and valve train components momentarily running with minimal lubrication. This is where synthetic oil has a genuine, measurable advantage over conventional oil. Because of its uniform molecular structure and lower pour point, a good full synthetic flows significantly faster at cold temperatures than a mineral or semi-synthetic alternative. A quality 5W30 or 0W30 synthetic reaches critical engine components far quicker than a thicker conventional oil would. For UK drivers, where cold morning starts are a regular occurrence for a large part of the year, this is not a minor detail. It is one of the most compelling reasons to use a proper full synthetic with a low winter viscosity rating. The oil that protects your engine best is the one that gets there first. Number 6. Myth: you only need low SAPS oil if you drive a diesel. A huge number of UK petrol car owners still believe that low SAPS oil is only relevant for diesel engines, and it is an easy assumption to make. Low SAPS oil became prominent in the mid-2000s when diesel particulate filters became mandatory and the connection stuck. But modern petrol engines have their own sensitive emissions hardware that is equally vulnerable to the wrong oil. Petrol particulate filters, now fitted to a growing number of direct injection petrol engines sold in the UK, face exactly the same risk from high SAPS oil as a diesel DPF does. Use the wrong oil and the filter starts to clog, performance drops, and you are eventually looking at a very expensive replacement. Beyond particulate filters, petrol engines with 3-way catalytic converters can also be damaged over time by excessive phosphorus content in the oil, which is one of the key components that low SAPS formulations specifically limit. The ACEAC grade specifications that cover low SAPS oils from C2 through to C5 apply to both petrol and diesel engines. If your modern petrol car requires an ACEAC2 or C3 oil, that requirement exists for a reason. Check your vehicle handbook, not the assumptions that came with your last service. The distinction between petrol and diesel matters far less than the specification your engine actually needs. Number 5. Fact: synthetic oil can actually improve your fuel economy. Most people think of synthetic oil purely in terms of engine protection, and protection is absolutely a major part of the story. But there is a benefit that rarely gets talked about, and that is what a good synthetic oil can do for your fuel economy. Modern synthetic oils, particularly those formulated to low viscosity grades like 0W20 or 0W30, are specifically engineered to reduce internal engine friction. Less friction means the engine does not have to work as hard to turn over, and that translates directly into better fuel efficiency. Shell's own testing on the Helix Ultra range showed up to 1.7% improvement in fuel economy compared to a standard reference oil. And while that might sound modest, over a full year of UK driving, it adds up to a meaningful saving at the pump. The ACE AC5 specification, which covers the latest generation of ultra-low viscosity synthetics, now being fitted to newer European cars, was introduced specifically with fuel economy as a primary target. Car manufacturers pushing towards lower CO2 figures are increasingly specifying thinner, friction-reducing synthetic oils as part of that effort. So if your handbook calls for a 0W20 and you are running a 5W40 because it feels more protective, you are not just risking engine damage from the wrong viscosity. You are also leaving fuel economy gains on the table every single time you drive. Number 4. Myth. The word synthetic tells you the oil's quality and performance walk into any Halfords or Euro car parts, and you will see shelves full of bottles all using the word synthetic somewhere on the label. Semi-synthetic, synthetic technology, fully synthetic, synthetic blend. It sounds like a clear hierarchy, but the word synthetic on its own tells you almost nothing meaningful about how well an oil will actually protect your engine. What really determines oil quality and compatibility is the specification printed on the back of the bottle. The ACEA rating, the OEM approvals, the viscosity grade. These are the numbers and letters that engineers spent years developing, and they are the only reliable guide to whether an oil is genuinely suitable for your car. Industry experts have been saying this clearly for years. Jason Vigras, a lubricants specialist, put it plainly when he said that viscosity grades and descriptions like fully synthetic are not an indication of engine oil performance on their own. The OEM specification is what should drive the buying decision. A budget oil labelled fully synthetic with no ACEA rating and no OEM approvals can cause more damage than a quality semi-synthetic that meets your manufacturer's exact requirements. The word synthetic is a starting point, not a guarantee. Next time you buy oil, flip the bottle over and read the small print. That is where the real information lives. Number 3. Fact. Short trips are harder on your oil than long motorway drives. This one surprises a lot of people because instinctively you might think that hard motorway driving puts more stress on your oil than a gentle trip to the supermarket. The opposite is actually true, and for UK drivers who do a lot of urban and suburban driving, it is an important thing to understand. When you start a cold engine for a short trip, the engine never fully reaches its optimal operating temperature before you switch it off again. That means moisture and unburnt fuel vapor that collect in the oil during combustion never get the chance to boil off. Over time, these contaminants build up and begin to degrade the oil from the inside, reducing its ability to lubricate and protect engine surfaces. A long motorway run, by contrast, keeps the engine at full operating temperature for an extended period, which naturally drives off those contaminants and keeps the oil in better condition. UK service interval guidance reflects this directly. Specialists recommend that drivers doing frequent short trips stick to oil change intervals of 5,000 to 7,500 miles, even on a full synthetic, rather than pushing to the maximum interval. If your daily driving involves school runs, short commutes around town, or regular stop-start journeys through places like Manchester, Birmingham or London, your oil is working harder than the mileage alone suggests. Factor that into when you next book your service. Number 2. Myth: synthetic oil causes leaks in older engines. This myth has been floating around British garages for decades, and it refuses to go away despite being thoroughly disproved. The story goes that synthetic oil is too thin, too aggressive, or too chemically active for older engines, and that switching to it will cause seals to shrink and leaks to appear. It originated in the early days of synthetic oil in the 1970s, when some early formulations did have compatibility issues with certain rubber seals. The oil industry identified the problem, reformulated, and moved on. Modern synthetic oils are specifically engineered to be fully compatible with seals and gaskets in both new and older engines. What actually happens in some cases is that synthetic oil, being more refined and free-flowing than a conventional mineral oil, finds its way through seals that were already worn or compromised. The oil did not cause the leak. It revealed a problem that was already there. In fact, Porsche now recommends synthetic oil for its vintage air-cooled classics, including the iconic 911. If it is good enough for a 1970s Porsche engine, it is good enough for your older Ford, Vauxhall, or Honda. If you switch to synthetic and notice a leak appearing, the honest answer is that the seal needed attention regardless. The synthetic oil simply made the existing problem visible sooner. Number 1. Fact: using the wrong OEM-approved spec can void your manufacturer warranty. This is the fact that mechanics are least likely to volunteer, and it is one of the most financially significant things a UK driver can know. When you buy a new car, the manufacturer warranty protecting that engine is conditional. One of those conditions is that the correct oil specification is used at every service. This does not just mean the right viscosity grade. It means the oil must carry the specific OEM approval your manufacturer requires, whether that is VW 504/507, BMW Long Life-04, Mercedes-Benz 22 9.51, or any other designation listed in your vehicle handbook. Using an oil that does not meet that approval, even if it is a premium full synthetic with strong ACEA certification, can give a manufacturer grounds to reject a warranty claim on engine damage. This matters in the UK because a significant number of drivers either service their own cars or use independent garages that do not always verify OEM approvals before pouring oil in. The approval code and the viscosity grade are two completely separate requirements, and both must be matched. Getting the viscosity right but missing the OEM approval is enough to create a problem. Paying a little more for an oil that carries the correct manufacturer approval is not just about engine protection. It is about keeping the legal protection of your warranty intact for the full term. Check your handbook, verify the approval code on the bottle, and do not assume that any fully synthetic 5W30 will do the job. In most modern cars, it will not.